All right, cool. What are you doing this time?
Well, Gary, thank you for joining me outside the historic Grauman's Chinese Theater.
Oh, hey, dig out your dick. That is a Comedy Bang Bang reference.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. To check out the facts, it's the Hollywood facts.
Thanks for immediately alienating
and
me.
Some.
Yeah.
It was an Andy Samberg joke.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I figured, since there are so many of these little dang old handprints here, we can use that somehow to randomize. So what I've done is I have acquired some contraband jarts. All right.
Oh, nice.
I'm gonna hand this to you. I'm just gonna ask you to huck this bad boy as far as you can, and whichever priceless handprint this ruins, that'll be the celebrity we use as our starting point. Okay.
I love that. Yeah, let's do it. Okay. It's been a long time since I've hucked nary a jort. Let's do it.
Listen to that satisfying crack. Love that.
That was great. Yeah.
So let's go down here and see who we ruined. Oh, Sir Anthony Hopkins.
Sir Anthony Hopkins. No,
I mean, I appreciate his work.
He's great.
In what is it? Hearts in Atlantis.
I love Hearts of Atlantis.
Yeah.
When they get the deep sea diving suit and they fight the Nautilus.
No, it's about a psychic mentoring a young boy.
I was thinking of something different.
Yeah. Okay, so Anthony Hopkins, let me just do a look here. Born on December 31st. Let me cross-reference games that came out on the 31st of December. Not much. Not a lot coming out on New Year's Eve.
Comes out on New Year's Eve.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. It's called Musya. The classic tale of Japanese horror.
Oh, so it's like it's like a scary game, huh?
Yeah. Oh, I'm surprised I never heard of this. What with my famed knowledge of horror games,
of scary games.
Yeah. So let me just take this big swig of coffee and then open the emulator.
My name is Gary Butterfield.
My name is Cole Ross.
And you're listening to Abject Suffering, where Cole is trying to kickstart his own cryptocurrency based on geodes. That is from Eric.
I can't believe Eric found out my plans.
Mm-hmm. Your crypto must be acknowledged.
And this might be the same Eric who demanded the episode.
Oh, that'd be a fun coinkydink.
That would be a very fun coinkydink. But this is Eric who says, now that's what I call a classic tale of Japanese horror.
Sure is.
Sure is. Fuck, Gary, this is a boring game.
It's really boring. It's kind of like a bad version of the bad parts of ActRaiser.
Yeah.
In some ways, it's kind of what it feels like. Like some of the monster designs are kind of fun, but like, boy, the level design isn't fun.
No,
it's yeah.
Your character has very strong legs, so they can achieve a jump, but also this is 10x gravity, so you fall like a stone.
It has got one of the worst jump arcs. One of my favorite things that happens in this is when you jump and you do the highest jump you can, and you end up kind of like floating up against the ceiling for a while before you come down. Like,
yep.
if you hit the ceiling, the way it's programmed, your upwards momentum doesn't stop, so you'll just kind of jetpack up against it for a while and then fall down. It's very funny.
If you can think of a better way to scratch the crown of your head, I would like to hear it.
And it's very bizarre for our little spearman, our little pika man.
Yeah. So I had never heard of this game. Like that was a bit at the start. I had never heard of it. This is like an also ran that was and never was. Like it's real obscure. But this is a 2D platformer kind of deal. Feels a little bit like it would have been an arcade conversion, but from a very bad arcade game that came out 5 years before this released.
Like we're in the Wrestling zone or whatever.
Yeah, Rastan. Yeah,
Rastan. We're in the Rastan zone.
Yeah. Yes. It does not have golden skin and eyes of, yeah, you know what I mean. Raceland.
Yeah.
Jokes about Raceland. It didn't become the god of the moon. Dragonlance.
They've never been hotter. Yeah.
Yeah.
Jokes about Raceland. Jokesaboutraceland.com is getting upwards of 5,000 unique visitors a day. And it's the site to watch on GeoCities.
It wasn't really edition. A joke about Raceland. It was just vaguely recalling things that I can...
a couple things about him.
Just a couple of facts about Raceland.
He's very sick. He's basically Taquito in the Tim and Eric movie.
Like he's extremely sick.
Yes.
His twin brother Caravan cares about them so much.
He loves them. It's very sweet.
Yeah.
It's good books.
Yeah. No, they're not. They're really bad.
I know. They're probably really bad, but they were good at the time.
Oh yeah, no, it's good. It's good middle school reading. No, but this is it's in the Rastan zone. The idea being that you're this it's ancient Japan. You're like this pikeman, spear wielding guy who dies and then is brought back, and then the mayor says you need to rescue somebody from the abyss, and you decide that is why I was brought back, to serve the mayor.
It's the mayor of Ghoul School too. Like you go to a village and then I'm like, oh, it's a normal village. And then they show the mayor and he's surrounded by all these creepy crawlies. And I'm like, oh no, it's the night mayor. Like it's a very haunted mayor kind of scenario.
Yeah.
Who sends you out and you just are like, what else am I going to do? And then you do it.
Yeah.
And like, there's things about this that are kind of like, some of the monster designs are kind of fun.
Yeah.
They're okay, but I had a weird thought about this where I think this would be better on the NES.
Yeah, like, probably
with a more limited color palette, so things had to stand out more. And then I think that the characters, like the ghoulies and stuff you fight, would be exaggerated to make their features show up.
Yeah,
and I think it would just look cooler.
It would feel less anonymous, I think, with this kind of dreary color palette and a little bit of like cluttered detail in most of the sprites and especially in the environment. It all makes it feel just kind of like gruel. Yeah,
it's got a real gruel feeling, and it sucks because a Castlevania that takes yokai instead of Universal movie monsters is a good idea.
Yeah.
There's something cool there, just in terms of having like fucked up little freaks to fight.
Yeah. Well, there is one of those. I think it's called, not Kenshi. There is a game for the Master System that is basically exactly what you're talking about it, and it's actually
I know what
you're
talking about. Yeah. The more of those, I guess, would also be okay.
Yes. Yeah.
It's real weird that like the game part of this did not get very much of attention. It feels like, the physics down to the level design, is all pretty crappy.
No, it's Ken Saden is what that is on the Master System. There we go. It just the fit and finish on this is really bad too. Like when we say the platforming is bad, it's not just that like the level itself is laid out pretty blandly. There's like really bad like collision detection on when you will or will not like hit something. Every platform that you're going to jump on is basically right at the top of your arc, maybe sometimes even beyond. But like rather than like adjust the platform like down so you can jump onto it, they just make it like, well, okay, like occasionally if you jump at this like waist high, you'll just kind of like up on top of it,
you'll auto correct onto it.
You'll snap to grid.
Yes, it's real weird. It doesn't feel like it was. I mean, we say this all the time, and we don't know enough about the development of this. It feels unplay-tested though.
Yeah.
Like it feels like nobody actually moved through these levels with this verb set.
Yeah. And I think there's an important stipulation on the like, oh, this was never play tested by somebody outside of the studio.
Yeah. Not extensively play tested.
Yes.
Play tested enough because like getting a minimum viable product is not easy, right? So like obviously that happened. Yes. But nobody like sat down and was asked questions about whether it was good. you know?
Yeah. Or like nobody who wasn't involved in like programming that jump and understanding of like the compromises that they had to make that load bearing system work, you know, like played that and told them, hey, this feels like dog shit. It was just people who were too close to it.
I think
what
a lot
it
about,
feels like.
Yeah. I think a lot about like when you, something that is, I think creatively one of the most damaging things that happens a lot is you get locked into a decision and you stop questioning assumptions, you know, like this is our jump. We made the jump, you know, like not obviously, but I can imagine you make your physics engine first and you got something that works. And then you start designing the other stuff because you have something that works.
Yeah.
And then you are too afraid to go back and adjust that because it would make everything, you have to do everything else again.
Yeah.
You know, but sometimes that's, you know, you want to not lock yourself in that situation. You want to be able to like rapidly prototype faster than that. Yeah. And there's just a huge sense of sunk cost.
And like for developing an SNES game at this point, I've got no idea like how rapidly you could do that.
Yeah.
Like today you can like do an A/B test. Like, you know, I just my understanding about Unity or Unreal Engine, a lot of sliders. You can just like tighten up the graphics on level 3, you know?
Yeah.
Like I don't mean to simplify it, but like I just
easier than it was, you know, is probably uncontroversial.
Yes, you're not like I imagine there's like a lot of like hex editing going on, and you know that no matter how good of a hex programmer you are also not going to. It's not going to be as efficient as, you know, going in and messing around with a GUI or whatever. Like, you know, it just I feel like I'm talking out of my ass, but I feel like the point.
I think these feel intuitive at the very least.
Yes.
Yeah. I do have like a mild soft spot. You know, for like, I didn't think this game was good and it was boring, but the way I found out about it was it's part of like a very small subset of things that Hardcore Gaming 101 has done a book on, which is retro horror. I
literally have both of those books on my desk right now.
Yeah. That's how I first heard about this. I'd never played it. And I just ignored it because it didn't look interesting. And I was like, oh yeah, that game. And also the title rolled off my brain.
Of course.
It's, but like, the idea of doing horror in that era is really interesting because it's really difficult to actually inspire any of the things that modern horror, like it's an entirely different concern to modern horror games. Yeah. You know, sometimes there are attempts to sometimes do some of the things, you know, like there are games that have atmosphere from time to time. Yeah. But generally it's just going to be a regular video game, but you fight creepy crawlies instead of, you know, Russians. You know, like this game wouldn't be that different if you were like, you know, it was like the Rambo SNES game and you fought Russians, you know, or something like that. Like it'd probably be fine. Like it would be the same gameplay wise.
It's literally just theming, right? Yes. Like there's not anything scary about Haunted House. There's not anything scary about Monster Party.
Splatterhouse.
Right? Yeah.
You know, like, you know? And so sometimes you end up with things that are kind of fun and surreal in that respect. Like I love Monster Party. I think that's a great game. And one of the things that's cool about it is that like, it's not scary. It doesn't even try to do that, but in trying to accomplish that purely through theming, they ended up having to take such a hard swing at it that ends up landing at this third unique thing. You know, it's the thing I like about retro horror, like at its best.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And like even the stuff that like starts feeling more mechanically like survival horror does, you know, like you're just, you know, the things that we would recognize as, you know, horror, like probably the earliest one I could think of that is, you know, readily identifiable as like, okay, yeah, this is obviously a precursor. It's Commodore 64 game called Project Firestar, right? Yeah. Which would be a pretty interesting WAF one day because it's short and also
we've never done a C64 game.
Yeah. But like even that has you know, like it's really brightly lit. It's a very obvious Alien pastiche, right? Yeah, you know. So, you know, you run into like this is just like more stressful than anything because you know, like it's got the resource restriction or what have you. And then stuff like Sweet Home, like that has a disturbing story. Like it tells a story of a pretty fucked up thing that happened and has cool monster design. But like, I don't know. It's hard to put myself in the mind of somebody who played that back in the day. I was like, oh God, this is too spooky. I'm done.
Yeah. Agreed on all points.
Yeah.
It's a hard knock genre.
Mm-hmm.
The
Yeah, lots of cool stuff in it though.
Yeah, it's a I admire its failings. For lack of a better phrase. Like,
Yes.
I think it fails in interesting ways when it tries to do that. I know we talk about this all the time, but like those books, man, like what kind of gift is it that we live in the absolute best time on earth for video game reference things? Like, we get to be alive when Hardcore Gaming 101 is putting out books, Jerry
And
Harris is putting out books, and Bitmap are putting out books. Good Lord.
Oh yeah. No, it's I don't know. Like, I've never read any of them. I read the adventure game one from front to back, but like just to be able to like flip through, and basically like graze at it, like a reference book ought to be, just like, okay, this didn't look interesting to me last time, but like now I just want to dig in because I read about something that this reminded me of. Like, it is a different kind of reading,
Yeah. And the adventure game one, that's real fun to read front to back because it's specifically like a genre with a very long history. These more specialized ones, like the retro horror one, lends itself much more to that, to like a graze.
Yes. Yeah.
It's you're not getting the history of the actual genre, but
they're not even like they're not laid out in chronological order either.
No, usually alphabetical.
Yeah.
The good shit. I was a little disappointed that the Bitmap JRPG book is done by franchise as opposed to chronological order, because I think that seeing them grow would be a more interesting thing rather than having them grow in their individual kind of walled gardens,
or seeing them bounce off of each other. Because I don't know, it was pretty clear when we did Dragon Quest IV on WoF, like this very much is in conversation, like with Final Fantasy IV. It feels like to me. Even just in terms of the way that those two franchises evolved and took very similar steps at their different entries.
Yeah. Agreed. It's a little bit of a disappointment.
Still a fun one to read through though, because you get to that it's in the JRPG book, you get to the like the miscellaneous one, you start reading about like Tecmo's Secret of the Stars.
That's the best part of that book.
Oh yeah, like, 100%.
Like reading, just reading a 1-page summary of every Dragon Quest and every Final Fantasy is nothing everyone doesn't know. You want to find shit you haven't heard about. And I'm really glad that includes strategy RPGs as well.
Yes.
So there's like some more weirdness in there. Great company. Jesus Christ.
I love it.
Did you get this is not content or humor. Did you get did you pick up the text adventure book? Were you on that Kickstarter? 50 years of text adventures.
I meant to, I meant to back that one, and then I didn't. So I'm going to have to go in and buy it after the fact.
It's cool. It is, because those games because they're text adventures, means the whole thing, the layout doesn't have like magazine grazeability,
right?
To it, like something that is broken up with like sidebars and images have. So it's pretty hard to graze at, but it is a really neat project.
Yeah.
And wealth of stuff.
Yeah. Love reading about games.
Yeah. Sometimes as much as playing them, if not more sometimes.
Well, I mean, if you're looking at stuff historically too.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, 100% historically. Like, I'm not going to fucking
I'm not going to play Police Quest. Come on.
Yeah. Wait, are you insane? You get shot for saying something like that. Try that in a small town. Try telling Travis Twitt or whatever the fuck his name is to play Police Quest in a small town.
I'm sure. I think they'd be like way into it. Like, oh yeah, they did get the Death Angel.
Yeah, cry. Yeah. Oh man, this is definitely by the book, but I can imagine smacking the guy's head on the door.
I was out driving the other day, going 2 towns over, like I always do. It took away that I didn't go, and somebody had like their front lawn was just entirely like all just bad politics. Like, just it was the biggest like stay away sign you could ever see, really. But like the centerpiece it wasn't just a like a thin and blue line flag. What it was. Picture the same black and white flag, but every other stripe was a different color.
Like a rainbow.
Yes, that is what I'm getting at. So like the blue one was in the middle, but they had red for firefighters. They had, I don't know, purple for Grubhub deliveries. Yeah. And just, it was just, I just loved that, like, in their interest. Yeah. They just like stumbled ass backward. They went so fast that they rolled right around
they
to
wrapped her
resistance
into ally. Yeah. That's very funny.
In this house. Yeah.
That's the
it was and then I sped up because I didn't want anything to do with this person.
I saw something scary the other day, since this is a spooky game I wanted to run by you.
Okay.
Me and Liv went into Guardian Games, the big game store here in Portland.
Yeah.
To buy some supplies. We've been playing the Arkham Horror card game, which is very good. Legitimately, if you have space for it, if you ever find like a cheap copy, it plays pretty fun single player, and I think you might like it.
Okay.
Or if you want to,
the card game you said?
Yes. Actual Arkham Horror takes a million years to set up and is very complicated.
Right.
The card game is much better. There's also a really good integration that does all the back end shit on Board Game Geek. Or not Board Game Geek, Tabletop Simulator. But we went in and I saw somebody who was parked in the parking lot there.
This is the one that's down by the river, right?
Yes. On the dash, they had a open, half-eaten McChicken that was roasting in the sun there, and it caused a real kind of crisis. Because I
wanted the sandwich, but also the sandwich repelled me.
No, I wasn't gonna eat. I won't turn my nose up at a McChicken. I can understand why you might, because it's the most mayonnaisey sandwich that's ever existed.
You can just order it without the mayonnaise, and then you get a chicken sandwich. Yeah. No, I'm not saying
the
that
mayonnaise is important to this tableau, though. I think.
I mean, yes, and when I say that it repelled you, specifically, because it was half eaten and it's got somebody else's mouth cooties on it, but also baking in the beating sun.
Yes, and it was such a like. So it raised all these questions. Like, you couldn't just, gruffle that sandwich and finish it. It's not very big,
Why didn't you leave it outside the car rather?
Yeah.
It was on the dashboard. It wasn't
on the dashboard. It was inside the car. And I got to make the joke when Liv pointed out, no, it's okay. You cracked the window for it, which he had done.
Did he do that?
Yeah, he did crack the window for it.
I don't think that's going to help the stink, actually.
No, like a half-eaten McChicken for we assumed, because the car was still there when we left and we were there for a while, that this is somebody who worked there, who was rushing to work, trying to get in a lunch before work, couldn't finish it, and then ran in.
What kind of nightmares working conditions does Guardian Games have where they don't have a fridge in the back?
That's what we were thinking. Like, clearly, that this person, there are different ways to handle this.
Right.
And then we were like, should we throw it away for them? Because we could have reached into the car. I said cracked, but really you could just go in and crack it.
I don't know. That's crossing a boundary to me.
I know. But it would be one of the nicest things I could do for a stranger.
I think, and when it's low stakes like this, I feel pretty comfortable saying, like, sometimes you have to let somebody else make their own mistakes.
Yeah. Like, they got to learn.
You could do them a kindness, I think. I think that if you did that, they would be more focused on, hey, where'd my McChicken go? Yes.
Yeah. Like this, what else did they take? And I could be like, I don't want your CDs or anything. I just was having mirror neurons. Like, I was having sympathy pangs about the idea of getting off work, remembering I left half a McChicken, the most mayonnaise sandwich in the world.
Oh, yeah.
In its natural form. Like, it looks Pornhub mayonnaise. Like, it is a punished pussy.
Yeah, this thing is ruined.
Yeah, it is absolutely wrecked cunt in terms of sandwich, right?
Jesus.
Like, just letting that roast. It's been hot. It is recording. It's August.
It's August. Yeah.
Yeah, it's hot. And it had this moment of like, I could become this person's angel or their devil.
Yeah.
As a kind of thing. Or like how funny it would be to go get another one and put it next to it.
To see what happens.
Yeah, like, if you walked yourselves into a Primer-esque situation where like you've uncovered something like this Benson and Moorhead-ass car that discovers that half sandwiches are turning into sandwich and halves.
Yeah. When the third sandwich arrives, the cycle restarts.
Yeah. I don't know. It just there are a lot of angles.
I mean, obviously, the second sandwich is the answer.
It's definitely less invasive.
Yeah, or just replace it with a half-eaten McDouble.
That would also be like a sandwich transmutation. Like that would be incredible, right? Can you imagine?
Oh, I
like, oh shit, I forgot to leave my hold up.
I'd go join a monastery.
Yeah, that's when you quit.
There are some cosmic questions that need to be sorted out.
Yes, that is how people find or lose religion.
Like they would find my car next to the road, next to a big field, and then just a big trail of my clothes and shoes just leading into the woods. What happened to
How
Cole?
do you come back from that?
I don't know, but there was a half-eaten McChicken on the dash.
Yeah. That somehow transformed.
Yeah, no, that would be the play. That would be my recommendation for you on that one. So just do like I do and carry around a McDouble in your back pocket at all times.
Yeah, double puck. I wonder, it could still be there for all I know too. Like maybe they weren't working. So
maybe.
Yeah. Just parked there.
Yeah. You just couldn't finish gruffling. Come on.
That's what I could have gruffled. I don't want to brag, but I could have eaten the rest of that sandwich in the number of steps it took from the car to the store.
It wouldn't be pleasant. Like you get that the weird little throat cramp that you get sometimes.
And you get the McBurps. Like you'd probably get some like little bits of lettuce that'd come up.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be great, but nothing water wouldn't handle. Just drink some water, man.
Or you could put you could put on your poncho.
Yeah, your gaming poncho.
Yeah, just whip out, whip out your poncho, put it on, gruffle the McChick, and then take off the poncho, roll it back up, put it in its sleeve, and then you're good.
And if like your boss at the playing, you'd be like, "It's my poncho plus one, boss," and they can't get mad at you.
Nope,
it's a game store.
It's a game store. Come on.
Yeah, they'd have to deal with that.
Man. Vexing is what this is.
Yeah, it was it kind of threw us off our rhythm for like a large part of the day. Afterwards we were going to the Goodwill that's by there because the idea was we're going to go look for Halloween stuff for our costumes, and then also I think we might throw a Halloween party this year. And we got there and it was like fine, there wasn't a whole lot of stuff, but there are a couple things I was a little bit interested in there, and then like overheard these kids yelling about Funko Pops in the toy section.
Ooh.
Being like, this is a Funko Pop. That's Laura Croft. And I immediately had to go home. The sandwich planted the seed and the kids screamed it into life. And I had to go home. I lost it.
You know how every time you go to a thrift store, every time you go to a Goodwill, there's always the 2 VHS set of Titanic.
Yes.
So the Titanic or Gettysburg, but more often it's Titanic, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just omnipresent. What is the Funko Pop version of that going to be?
Oh.
Like it's the Funko Pop that is just going to be fucking everywhere.
Yeah. Well, it's hard. There's a really big variety of those. Like I go to a lot of thrift stores, and there's a lot of just random Funko Pops around, and it's really hard to find. Like I've seen a lot of Severus Snapes.
Yeah.
That shows up a lot.
I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things where you're in a bubble, and I know so many people who have divested themselves of any Harry Potter, fandom kind of stuff. Like, I don't want to overstate how big that phenomenon is or how many people are doing it, but that can't be negligible, right? The number of people offloading their their HPFPs.
HPFPs.
Yeah, just like, hey, these things are toxic. I don't want to have anything to do with them, and then they end up.
Yeah, it's the Earth's problem now. They're a different kind of toxic now.
It was always the Earth's problem, is the lesson you have to learn.
Yeah. It's true. I've definitely seen a big uptick in the DVDs and stuff. Yeah. So people are certainly doing that, and that could be Portland related, but yes. I've seen a really big uptick in complete sets of the books and DVDs. So good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why not?
Like, yeah, we talked about them a lot. Like I liked those books and DVDs when I was younger, but it's not worth compromising my principles for. They're not that good.
Yeah.
They're adequate at best.
Yeah.
They're okay if you don't think about them.
Mm-hmm. And there's so much literature that fills that niche. Yeah.
I'm also more of a Prince Caspian man when it comes to Percy Jackson and the Goblet of Dreams or whatever the fuck.
Yeah, Percy Jackson and the Goblet of Dreams. Prince Caspian was one, and it just reminded me of how much Voyage of the Dawn Treader fucks. That's a good book.
Oh yeah. I'm only into the movie.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm only into the film, the cinematic universe of Prince Caspian.
You never read the Narnia books as a kid?
I read the first one when I was young, and it didn't hit me. I think I read it when I was a little too old.
Yeah, that makes a little bit of sense. I read the last one first, and I was really confused. There was nothing on it that said like, hey, this is the finale of this. It was just like, oh, this looks fantasy. So I grabbed it and read it, and I was like, I don't have any idea what's happening. Oh well.
Back how they did it.
Yep.
Well, back in the day. I do have a soft spot. The other thing I have a soft spot for this game about, like I know in time, but I love it when I feel like I have a really good grasp on like a console's library, and then there's just something this fucking obscure that pops up.
I mean, it's a kind of a different version of what we talk about with arcades, where like if you generally when you go to like a good arcade, like above a certain size, you're always going to see something that you've not seen before.
Yeah, and I'll always play something I haven't seen before because it's like and that's it's kind of like a weird thing where this is obscure enough to where it didn't even show up when me and all my friends were downloading every ROM and kind of going through them.
Yeah.
In order. Like I don't think I saw this then. So it's pretty obscure.
Something that might have happened with that though is like you get those collections of ROMs. And like this was in there. Like this is in the big collection of ROMs that I've had on this machine for, I don't know, 10 plus years now, and that's just the most recent collection that I got. But like you go through those big collections and you see a ton of games that have Japanese titles, right? And my assumption is going to be I am not going to be able to read that, so I skip over and I go to something, like the one right above this in my library is Mr. Nuts.
Yeah, of course. What are you gonna do? Not play Mr. Nuts?
I fired it up. It's an underwhelming platformer developed by Ocean. It's about a squirrel. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
I know. Yeah, I know Mr. Nuts. But like, I mean, as a kid, you're not gonna not play.
Yeah, you're gonna gravitate toward Mr. Nuts.
Yeah. Well, it's also I also assume they're going to be Three Kingdoms tactics games.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because it's a real safe bet, man. For the 8-bit and 16-bit generations.
Yeah.
Anywho, thanks everybody for listening. We appreciate you.
Thank you. If you like the show, you can go to patreon.com/Duckfeed.tv and kick us a few bucks a month. Get bonus episodes of this show. Get whole bonus shows. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you, Eric, for demanding this episode. Patreon is also where you can go to demand an episode.
Absolutely. Check out our other shows. There probably aren't that many people who just listen to this, but if there are, listen to the other shows, you weirdo.
We've got a lot of catalog that's there. Go check it out.
Indeed. And then as we mentioned, ratings, reviews, telling your friends, all that stuff is very useful. And big thanks to Gwen, our producer.
Thank you so much, Gwen. We appreciate it.
Yes.
And until next time, that's the end of that chapter.